This is a really big deal. The fact that we had, I mean, from this high down to our low within 6 days, fell down by 13-14%. And now, we're pulling some sort of recovery, but this recovery is coming in above our resistance level. This is a really big deal. We're actually, I think, we're beating resistance right now in the hourly time frame. Yeah, look at that. We've actually pumped out of it already. We're now back inside of resistance on the hourly time frame, but it's very clear. And I was saying, like, look, we've got this resistance up ahead, but the hourly time frame for the Ichimoku cloud is not the be-all, end-all for analysis as far as I'm concerned. So it's really nice to see that we're starting to flip these dynamics back to where we were, just over the last few weeks and months, really, because Bitcoin has been in an incredibly bullish position pretty much right up until this drop happened 2 days ago. To see that we're now recovering back up is an incredibly strong sign. This is showing us that we lost our footing a little bit. We've stumbled, we maybe fell down, got a couple scratches, but we got right back up and we're running again. And this is a really big deal. So far we haven't actually seen it materialize into anything super significant. But what we have definitely seen, without any shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, is that Bitcoin has reclaimed this area of resistance. And this is super, super clear. First of all, we fell down below this level by a fair bit, more than 3%. So that constitutes a real breakout. And then that meant that we rallied back up with quite a bit of force. We moved up by about 4%. And as soon as we got here, ladies and gents, look at what happened to the price. We stopped moving up. We were moving up really aggressively right up until conveniently we hit this area of resistance. Now that is exactly what we were expecting to happen. And so to see that we started trading sideways, finding resistance, and then broke out, that is a really big deal. That's showing us that we originally were struggling at this level, but Bitcoin has been able to overcome it. And that is a crucial step forward. It is only one step forward, but here's another step forward. Looking at the 4Flies dashboard here, the long and short ratio for retail traders has dropped. We now have 1.83 long positions for every short for retail traders. Top trader positions have stayed almost identical for the last 2 months, as far as I can remember. And Bybit, also pretty much identical. They're always just even, right? It's only the Binance traders that sheepishly run in one direction and then fuck off to the other direction every 5 minutes. And what's absolutely beautiful about that is that makes our markets quite easy to predict. And that is obviously where the profits come in. I want to highlight to you guys the beautiful opportunities available with BingX. This is an exchange that you can trade traditional finance on, which means you can trade Tesla stock, Apple, you can trade the S&P 500, you can trade gold and oil, all without KYC. You've got over $5,000 in bonuses and some really cool just straight cash rewards that they're going to give you in your account. So depending on how much you deposit, you're going to be getting free amounts of just USDT credited into your account, which you can trade with. Any profits you make are yours to keep. This is well worth checking out if you prefer more privacy focused exchanges that don't require you to take a picture of yourself or a picture of your ID. And if you want up to $30,000 in bonuses, then Bybit on screen right here is going to be your place to be. They will give you up to 30K again in just free money that you can deploy into the market, and you can buy any coins you like without paying any fees on our spot pairs right there, on their spot pairs, my bad. So check them both out with the links in the description if you want to take advantage of this volatility. These are huge bonuses, 35K plus just with those two links. The sign up process is 20 seconds each, so it's really worth checking out. But as far as this range goes, if we're back in the game now, it's like I said yesterday, guys, if we're back in this range and it looks like we are so far, then yeah, resistance up here is going to be that next level to see. Now let's try and understand if we're going to lose this area, because this is the concern, right? We have seen things move in the right direction, but the long and short ratio is still too extreme, and I know you've already noticed that. So, obviously I'm coming back to this now to talk about it. Long and short ratio is still too high, indicating that we should maybe find some more downside. But what's very clear, and I was saying this, when I was outlining to you guys, when Bitcoin was at its lows, I was outlining look, this could be something to just kind of flush some leverage out of the market. And that has happened. Very clearly that has happened because we've seen long positions close here. So that's absolutely beautiful. And that does tell us that we are moving in the right direction with this price action. But yeah, we're gonna, this is right now is where things start getting a little bit more complicated for the market, because the dollar is gonna start trading again within 2.5 hours from now. And this was kind of what screwed everything up for Bitcoin in the first place. I was warning you guys that like this is still an area of support. It was looking like the dollar would just kind of roll over and fall off, but traditional technical analysis and its principles compel me to expect support at support levels. I know that sounds mind-blowing for a lot of people who are in the crypto space, but fuck me, I know it's crazy, but support levels do tend to give support, resistance levels do tend to give resistance. Just happens to be that way, ladies and gents. But thankfully for us, that makes our lives quite easy, because things like this don't take us by surprise. And now that the dollar is going to reopen, if this rally continues, well, the good news is that Bitcoin's in a slightly higher position than it was 2 days ago or 1 day ago. So it's probably going to kick off another drop, and thankfully we're going to be dropping from a slightly higher level. So if we're going to drop by $1,000, at least we start that drop from a higher level, so it doesn't hurt as much. So I think that could be something that we're looking at. That could definitely be something that throws Bitcoin off course. I'm not super worried about that because of where traditional finance is. S&P 500 barely budged when the dollar started pumping up, and gold also doing pretty well when the dollar started to move up. So if these two crazy important assets and so on, or whatever you want to call them, have not seen significant downside with the dollar waking up, and if it's only Bitcoin, then I would expect that that's not necessarily going to continue. So we'll continue to watch how traditional finance responds. If traditional finance gets a little bit weaker, and especially if the dollar keeps moving up, then I will definitely be a little bit more worried for Bitcoin. But so far, we are holding our ground. We're still in the same place. Nothing has changed. We're back in the same range here, where we're pretty bullish. This is a bullish place to be. This is basically a wide area of resistance at our most critical area of resistance on the chart, and Bitcoin is not getting absolutely smashed back down. In fact, what's happening instead, and I was actually covering this chart with you yesterday, so shout out to those of you that are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Ladies and gents, what's happening instead with this market, let me find the right chart to show this to you on, is right here. Bitcoin has actually, fairly convincingly managed to form a really nice bounce off this kind of wedge pattern that we've got going on here, and there's a few different ways you can draw it, but ultimately what's very clear is that this wedge, and a lot of you guys mentioned that you were grateful that I showed this to you on the video yesterday, so thank you very much for dropping those comments. They were really nice to read. If you do appreciate this content, do me a favor and just throw up a like on this video. It really does go a long way for the algorithm. Make sure you're subscribed, you got the bell icon checked as well, because it's very time sensitive content. But a lot of you guys were mentioning that you didn't actually notice this, and by the way, I didn't notice this either. I've actually got a team working behind me that kind of helps me make sure that we don't miss things in the market. That's why you don't see me talk a lot about altcoins on this YouTube channel, but those of you that are inside of 𝗬𝗙𝗧𝗍 VIP, you're going to know quite well that we talk about altcoins all the time. I don't necessarily trade them all the time, but I'm definitely watching them, and I'm making sure that I'm not missing out on opportunities that I want to be able to trade. So we've got eyes everywhere. We spot cool things because of that. That's why if you look at the 𝗬𝗙𝗧𝗍 daily channel, we've got really solid analysis on the altcoins too. If you like this kind of content, you're getting more of it for altcoins, and that is a really, really big deal. The fact that because it's hard to find solid, realistic, grounded analysis for altcoins. Most of the people that trade altcoins are idiots, and so naturally that's where the audience goes as well. That's where the content creators go as well. With Bitcoin it's a little bit easier because these are big markets, but altcoins we don't really have that. So this is a big deal. I haven't seen anything like this for altcoins yet. Definitely check it out if you're interested, with that top link in the description down below. But we have now seen this bounce, and so naturally, yeah, I mean, you might have to expect that with a really nice support bounce like this, we are compelled to kind of revisit the top of the resistance range here. It's different on different charts, but rising up to these resistance levels would make a little bit of sense. And yeah, it's going to take overcoming some more resistance, because the thing is, if we do zoom out, First of all, let's zoom out quite a lot. If we look at the daily time frame, it's interesting, right? Because like the very, very short-term time frame, 1 hour time frame, is about to become bullish right now. The daily time frame has been bullish for an incredibly long time. The 4-hour time frame is very clearly bearish. I'm going to show you that in a second. But what that means is extremely short-term, we're about to turn bullish again. Long-term, we've already been bullish for a while. It's only the mid-term trend which is dangerous for Bitcoin right now. And the good news, right, and what I like to do when, we've got these really conflicting, and it is conflicting, this is why it's confusing right now, this is why, understandably, we broke a key range, but things were kind of confusing, right? We all know that, I understand, because I felt it too. I'm a human too. I understand how people feel in the market, because I feel the same way. I just ignore it, but this is a big deal. There was a lot of confusion here, and we're hoping to get that resolution. What we're hoping to see is some of these key ranges, broken. But until that happens, we're kind of just stuck in the same place. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really understand. But when we are at these key levels on the chart, I'm going to be more interested in the long-term analysis, because we're, it's the long, we're going to have these intraday, anomalies basically all the time. We had one right here, obviously, and this one, we're glad it only lasted a day, right? But sometimes it lasts a little bit more than a day, and sometimes it goes quite extreme in terms of how big the deviation is. But if you do keep in mind what the long-term picture looks like, you can kind of filter out the noise. You can filter out the shit like this, the shit like this, and the shit like this. And that is exactly what we've been able to do on this YouTube channel so well. That's exactly what I've been able to use to, not only open this, Bitcoin position at such a good price level, but then also, the taking profits were done really well. You guys have seen how this position has evolved in real time, because I told you about it right from the very beginning, and I told you every update publicly as well. This is only the treatment that VIPs get, but you guys have been seeing this publicly as well, and one of the reasons I was able to really, kind of carefully take these profits on the way up is because I was doing my best to maintain these perspectives. And I didn't do perfectly, but I think I did pretty well considering where the price went, in terms of taking profits where I did. This position, I opened it down here. Can you imagine how tempting it would have been to close it right here? Like right before the 25K, and that was already a really big profit, by the way. This was already a 15% move at 10x leverage, because I was using 10x leverage. I don't think it says it here. Yeah, right here, 10x leverage. I already pulled a 2.5 times return on my money right here. So it was very tempting to close the position just up there, right? But when we keep in mind what the longer term trend is showing us, you can start to ignore anything that becomes a little bit scarier, the things that kind of throw us off course a little bit, and you can maintain a more realistic perspective of the market. That's useful not only for picking the right trade, but once you're in the right trade, it's just as important to milk the fuck out of it and get all the money you can out of it, because you best believe you're going to lose money next time, right? It's not, you're not going to pull 100% success rate off, so you're going to lose money in the future, and you need to be able to pay for that. You need to have the funds banked up, the funds stored up, ready to pay for your losses, right? Because you're going to have to pay for your winners, right? Your winners are going to come at the expense of a couple losses every now and then, maybe even regularly, and that doesn't really matter. As long as your winners are outrunning your losers, you're chilling, But the way to do that is maintaining really healthy perspectives. So again, we look at the longer term chart here, and this definitely looks like the one-day Ichimoku cloud is working at least a little bit for Bitcoin right now. What's very clear is that we started a very strong sell-off, right? And this sell-off was a 13% move within a week. For Bitcoin, this is pretty extreme. It's not, I don't want to say extreme, but it's definitely not a light move. You look at the volatility that we had here. This was like, within, what was this? Within a 3-week range, the biggest thing we did was a 10% move. And granted, that move happened pretty quickly, but that was it. We only moved 10% within 3 weeks. Now this was less than a week, and we dropped by 13%, right? So this is a lot more volatility than Bitcoin has been used to, and look at where this dump stops, right? The dump clearly stops here with this incredibly bullish wick. The very next candle, we do form a bit of a, like we don't really know what's going on, type of candle. And today's candle is the same too. The market still doesn't know what's going on, but I'll tell you right now, what's really clear is that we have a huge area of support on this time frame that even stretches down to $24,000, which is absolutely amazing. And it is this very indicator that has now stopped the sell-off. All right, now does that mean the sell-off is going to stay stopped? Does it mean that we're not going to drop down again? No, absolutely not. What we could be doing is consolidating a little bit before making another drop down. And by the way, we've done that before. We've done exactly that before. You've probably already seen where it happened. Ladies and gents, it's right here on this chart. So we've already done exactly this before. What I'm just talking to you about is, we kind of fell below the support area with a really nice recovery. It looked like things could turn bullish, but, all we did was consolidated sideways a little bit, and then we fell for real, and we haven't returned back up to that level until right now. Where we are now, these last few months, are the only time that we've been back hit, right? So we've already done this before, and it went really badly. Now, what's different is that previously Bitcoin was in an extremely intense downtrend. Bitcoin was in an environment where, rates were still going up, interest rates were still going up, but there wasn't a whole lot of money printing like there is right now. Money printing has kind of switched on again over the last few months, obviously, as we know with the banking collapses. They're really keeping it under the rug, but the data is the data. The numbers don't lie. Well, they do lie because they're coming from the U.S. government, but they don't lie that much. So they lie enough that we can get the picture. But not, it does distort the picture, but the picture is functional, and that at least is good enough. And so we had, a very different market situation back then. I mean, it was a big downtrend. We didn't have any Ichimoku support. We didn't have any EMA ribbons that were going in our favor. We didn't have anything whatsoever to be optimistic, other than the fact that Bitcoin was at a historically strong support area. That was it. But even that, we didn't really have in hindsight. I was definitely wrong about this here, because we were below the bulk of the support, right? I mean, the bulk of the support was like around these price levels, so like 30 up to 34, and we were literally underneath that. You can tell quite clearly if I just draw a line. We were like directly underneath all of the support. So we didn't even have that going for us, and it's so different to now in that way, because we're in a bullish trend. We've got daily Ichimoku support. We're taking big steps, and then we're just coming back down, grabbing our getting our footing, and then taking another big step, coming back down to get our footing. Maybe I don't know, but that's what this chart is set up to do right now. So that looks pretty compelling. Now again, we zoom in a bit more, and the picture starts becoming a little bit more fuzzy. On the 4-hour time frame, we have a fairly significant area of resistance overhead, and that's that will potentially become a problem. And this lines up with just this price area, right? I mean, if we just take a look at this with the VPVR indicator, it really helps us kind of visualize where areas of resistance or support are on the chart. Look at this big spike right here. This big spike represents that there's just a lot of trading that happens in this price range. And where we have a lot of trading, that's where we tend to, form reversals, right? So if you kind of rise into one of these areas where there's just a lot of buyer and seller interest in the market, that's where we tend to find reversals. So, now we've, unfortunately fallen below it, right? I mean, we found support here before, so you can see how it did work as support. But now, I mean, it's already been resistance, a few days ago. We might have to expect this to act as resistance again. So it could definitely be a problem for Bitcoin. This is the kind of thing where, like, if Bitcoin is actually in a downtrend, then this kind of march forward is exactly what leads to the next drop down. And it would, probably fit in really nicely with one of our trend lines too, right? If you remember what that looked like, that would, I think it's already on one of these charts. That's exactly what we'd be looking at. In fact, that looks so perfect that, let's just see. Yeah, look at that. That's it. So you'd expect maybe something like this towards the end of May, and then a rejection, right? If you're super bearish, this is the healthy way that Bitcoin does something bearish. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, with traditional finance on the edge of massive breakouts, the only way that I think this happens is if they just don't break out some, for some reason. Maybe they get, some sort of temporary setback or something like that. Then yeah, I would definitely expect that, Bitcoin just kind of doesn't do anything, for a while. Doesn't get any significant breakouts, but I don't really think that's going to happen. It could, and I'm open to it. It would be okay. I'm definitely prepared for it if it does happen. But these markets, they look pretty hot right now. So I'm not super worried. And so, yeah, rising up into these areas of resistance, 27.4 is another kind of spike right here. Could definitely turn into a problem for Bitcoin. This is going to be the next play. We're going to see how we respond to these resistance levels. The really good news, especially if we can climb a bit higher from where we are right now, is that this level is probably going to be support again. Now, right now, it's kind of hard to say because, we only got, 1.5% above the support level. So, we want to rise a lot higher, and then, we can, the further away we get from this level, the more confidently we can say, like, okay, this is probably going to be a level that the market respects. Right now, we're still kind of just consolidating around it. So, it's quite easy to just kind of slip through it again. So we really need to cover a little bit more ground, and then this can turn into support. That would be a big step forward for Bitcoin. So far, we're doing everything right. We're flushing leverage out of the market. We're evening out the long and short ratio. Fear and greed index is also in neutral territory, which isn't amazing. I want to see that we're a little bit more fearful, but I'll take what I can get. The fear and greed index has been so high, in these recent weeks that, 69 readings, right? It's kind of obvious looking back that, when the market gets so greedy, and we are still in a bear market, let's not forget basic facts here. Yes, we are pretty bullish on these time frames, but, we still haven't broken the most significant resistance level on this chart. This is still just a bullish rally within a very long-term bear market, and that has not changed. That will not change until Bitcoin can reclaim levels like 48K, which is really far away from even happening right now. But these are important things for us to be keeping in mind, because we can kind of lose perspective with the price action here. We can become a little bit more short-term oriented, but that's why, again, we got to really zoom out and just make sure that we are maintaining perspective of what's going on in these markets. So there you go, super hot, very exciting. Altcoins looking much the same as well. We're seeing some interesting developments for Ethereum as usual. Also found a little bit of support, maybe getting ready to tackle some of its resistance areas. So I'll be covering some of that altcoin analysis with you guys on the second YouTube channel linked at the top of this description. If you are interested in getting over $70,000 in bonuses, check out these links to all the exchanges that I'm using. Bitflex and BingX, the top two, do not require KYC. So if you're more privacy minded, that's going to be for you. BingX will also allow you to trade traditional finance, stocks, indices, commodities, Forex, all without KYC, over $5,000 in bonuses, well worth checking out. And Bybit will give you up to $30,000 in trading bonuses. So again, just free money that you can deploy into the market. They do have mandatory KYC, but that does make your account more secure. So if you're okay with that, that's going to be a better option for you. And with up to 30K in bonuses, the way you can get this is you just deposit and start trading. Once you make your first trade, you will get that money. I think you might have to meet some sort of volume requirement. You might have to trade for like a day or two, or not even a day, just a few minutes. But then you will get your bonus credited into your account, and then you just trade with it just like normal. Just like, it's basically like you made a deposit, but they made the deposit for you. And then, yeah, any profits are yours to keep. So that is well worth checking out on, my primary exchange. It's been my primary exchange for multiple years, and it's probably going to stay that way for the next few years at least as well. So there you go. I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know exactly what to do. If you have, hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, take advantage of the beautiful offers available to you with the links in the description down below. No one ever likes saying no to free money. So check them all out. They're very easy to get. Sign up processes are all the same, 20 seconds, no more. You're in the game. I really hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do, and I'll see you all on the altcoin channel right after this. Cheers.